Hi! I went to a dance game tournament this past weekend. Wanted to get some video footage there. I tried to set up a tripod and record my matches, but just like at Rocky Mount, it was completely impractical to do so. So what I'm going to do here is basically reproduce all the matches I was in. So this was the qualifier song, B2S11. So this was the Beast in the East tournament in Norfolk, Virginia. I got an invite to it through a YouTube comment, interestingly enough. I didn't know it was happening until like a couple of weeks before. But yeah, it was close enough to me, about the same distance as Rocky Mount was. So yeah, I registered, drove there, and had a cool weekend, and met some people, played some dance games. So they had, this was set up in a mall, in like a vacant stall. Just had a bunch of, I think there were 7 dance machines. Let's see. 1, 2. They had like 4 Pump It Ups, a Rave It Out machine, which is a 5-panel game that's like fan-made. It's like Pump It Up, but just different songs and charts and stuff. 1 DDR machine and 2 in the group machines. So I was in the lower Pump It Up tournament, which was just 1 to 16 songs. In practice, that ended up being 9 to 16, pretty much. 17s and 18s were open for the final round, but I didn't quite make it that far. There was a Pump It Up upper tournament going on, and supposedly there wasn't in the groove on Sunday, but I didn't stay for Sunday. I got there on Friday, played around and qualified and stuff. Main tournament happened Saturday, then I had to go Sunday morning, so I didn't see the tail end of the tournament. Anyway, so on Friday I qualified to get my seed position. I double S this song, so I got a perfect score on that. I was proud of that. Managed to do that here in the reproduction too. It's an 11, it's not too hard to do that. Pump It Up timing is very forgiving. So as long as I, just stay awake and pay attention, it's not particularly hard to get that score, honestly. Anyway, so I got that. I knew I had a high seed. I was confident going in. Hoped I would have a good time. So, first match the next day. This was versus a guy who went by the name Mini Rubio. There's a guy named Melvin Rubio who goes there. He's really good. He was also at Rocky Mount. This was not him. I don't know if this was his brother or just somebody else who's going by that name. Anyway, so what happened here? I'm playing Star Command. Okay, so this was on Prime 1. The Prime 2 machines were occupied with the upper tournament, and they didn't have enough Prime 2 kits to put in all the machines, so we were playing this all on Prime 1. Star Command 12 was the pick. I put it on 3.5 multiplier for speed. It reports that its BPM is, 155? However, something is wrong with Star Command 12, and it actually treats speed modifiers as if your BPM is like 200 or something. So I got a speed that was way too fast for me on the first round. I handle it kind of okay here in the reproduction, but I got a bunch of misses during the tournament. I was a little more nervous there, and it was a noisy environment, less familiar machine, and I had to do well or else I was gonna, get knocked out of the tournament. So I had some pressure on me. So doing this at home is a lot easier. Anyway, so that was the pick for the first song, and I think my opponent knew about the speed glitch. I think it was his pick. So the way this generally went, it was a double elimination tournament. First song was chosen randomly. Loser of the first round picks the second song, and then the other player picks the third song if it goes that far. Except I don't think that happened for the first couple of rounds I played. I'm not sure if the rules changed halfway or just I wasn't paying attention and didn't understand what was going on, but it seemed like he was the one who picked Star Command for this. Anyway, so he won the first round because my speed modifier was wrong and I couldn't read it and I got a bunch of misses. Quick note about Pump It Up scoring for people who might not know. It's very heavily combo based. So if you get a miss, it's extremely costly. Basically, you lose some kind of score multiplier and don't gain it back until you have a 50 combo or something like that. Yeah, I didn't do that well in the tournament. I had like 3 or 4 misses. Which feels really bad when it's on a 9. So, next song was my pick. So I chose The People Didn't Know. I had a whole list of these things. I knew I could do particularly well at this one, so that was what I chose. so this was the 15. This is one of my songs. I play this a lot. I feel like I'm reasonably good at it. We were playing on BGA off. One of the features of this song is that the background is extremely distracting. I forgot to turn BGA off for my reproduction here, but the background distraction was not in play during the tournament. So yeah, this is a fun chart that seems reasonably innocuous for the first little bit, then gets a little more serious toward the end. So before this tournament, I had spent a couple of days, I did a couple of streams on this. I played through a bunch of songs in the difficulty range that I knew I would be playing, and practiced stuff that was gimmicky, things that I would need to know about, if anybody picked them on me, and made a list of ideal songs that I would choose if it came up, if my pick came up, basically. And this was one of my top picks for that. I know exactly how to do those turns, I'm reasonably good at them, I'm getting some grades here, but, you know, whatever. Just have to do better than my opponent. So, second song of the first round went to me. I won that one.
Wow, you're awesome.
So then it was his turn to pick again. So what he chose was Like Me, S14. I did not know this chart particularly. Like, I had played it before, but I didn't remember what it was. So yeah, he did an extremely good job of choosing songs with gimmicks or, like, just weird things that you kind of have to know ahead of time. And, yeah, that was a good strategy for him. He was able to do well on this and Star Command. So, right, this is kind of a gimmick chart where you're holding the center arrow most of the time, just tapping the others with your other feet. Since I wasn't super ready to do that, I didn't do as well as him at this third song. So he won the first round, and I was knocked down to the loser's bracket immediately. Afterward, I felt really bad about that, because I felt like I should have done way better on both Star Command and Like Me. I was kind of angry about that glitch with Star Command that made my scroll speed unreadable. So yeah, I kind of just sat there and tried to not feel too sorry for myself. But I knew I still had a chance to come back after that. I was just in the loser's bracket, but wasn't out of the tournament yet to that point. I did feel really solid on my performance on the People Didn't Know. So basically, generally the strategy I used was to pick the hardest stuff with, like, fast runs, bunch of turns, you know, stamina charts, and just sort of outlast my opponents. Just be better at the semi-high level stuff. One of these years I'll be good enough to enter the upper tournament for events like this, but I'm not there yet. This was appropriate for my skill level. Anyway, yeah, so that worked. That strategy worked very well for me. All the 2 times I got to choose a song during this whole thing. But yeah, everybody else seemed to focus a little more on lower level gimmicks, things that didn't take so much stamina, stuff that they could win just by other means, which is fine. It just, I don't have encyclopedic knowledge of all the weird gimmick charts and how to do them, so I was just relying on my speed and stuff. Yeah, that did not go nearly that well during the tournament. I had like 2 or 3 misses or something. Alright, so that round ended. A whole bunch of time passed because early on in the tournament, you know, there are a lot of people to get through, to get them knocked down, reduce the numbers so that the people toward the top can play with each other. So it was like a couple of hours before I got to play again. Zenesis S10 was the random selection for the first song versus a guy named Sean. I saw him at Rocky Mount too. Hadn't actually talked to him there, but I got to meet him and talk to him a little more at this event, which was nice. Yeah, a lot of the same people. So I had a bunch of friends there, which was pretty cool. So yeah, I did well on this. I won the first song against him. Because this is not a particularly hard chart. There's nothing weird and gimmicky about it. Just gotta pay attention, and it's totally doable. I wasn't quite as confident with all those rhythms when I was there, but I think I gold-essed it. Just got a couple of greats or something. Actually, I was just looking at my notes and it said I got a couple of misses on this, apparently, but he had worse luck than me, so I still won this round. I wonder what I missed. I don't know. Didn't miss any there.
Wow! New record!
So then, since I won the first round, he got to pick. He chose Chinese Restaurant 16. He was basically saying, there's no way I can win this, let's just do something kind of hard and draining, just for fun. So that's what he chose to do. This is the kind of chart that I would choose with my strategy, basically, and this went very well for me. So I won both those first two songs. So round, was this round 3 at this point? No, round 2 went to me. So I was moving up the losers bracket. Yeah, this is a fun, energetic chart. So I am using the bar here. I find that I use the bar a whole lot more at tournaments or when I'm playing rank mode. It used to be the thing that, well, I used to be a strictly no bar player. Then when I started playing Pump, the rule of thumb I usually would go by was I'd use it for 17s and up and not for 16s and under. But that sort of has gotten to be a looser rule over time. It's purely a self-imposed challenge. I was comfortable playing no bar for a very long time, so I wanted to carry that forward into this new game that I've been working on. But it's just not practical not to use it sometimes. Because in most cases, it's just a straight-up advantage to use it. So for anything that's like a fast 16 like this, I'll usually use it. I tried to bar for Star Command when it was going way too fast for me, but it didn't help me enough.
Nice.
So yeah, I won that song and won the round. So round 2 went to me. I was advancing up the losers bracket. A little bit of time went by, but then sort of the last several matches went by in rapid succession. So after this, I was just kind of playing back to back to back, and not having time to cool down, which was good. So I stayed warmed up for this. So this song, Bad End Night,
Okay, I'm gonna do something weird here.
S10, was chosen as the random for round 3. This is versus a guy named Malachi.
This is blocked on YouTube, so I'm gonna get a clean run that won't get blocked.
Yeah, so
let's do it on silent.
somebody's told me that you can't really upload videos with this song onto YouTube, so I'm just taking them at their word, and I turned the machine on silent, just so I could play this anyway. So here I am playing in complete silence. Just imagine the music. Let's see, during the tournament I did win this round. Don't remember exactly what I got, but it was better than what he got. So I don't normally play like this. It was interesting and different. Just talking about playing silently here. As it turns out, I can actually time visually way better than I thought I could. As you'll see at the end, I do extremely well at this. It is only a 10, but still, I would expect to have drifted more severely.
So apparently I can time visually.
And that's a double S. Perfect score, no audio.
Wow, new record.
Alright, so after that, it's his pick. He chooses Emperor S16.
There you are.
Some weird stuff happened during this song. So it's pretty clear why he chose it. You'll see what the chart is like. It's one of those songs that you kind of have to know to be ready for. So I was on the left side of the machine, which is my preferred side. He was on the right. During his play, he was getting a whole bunch of pad errors, apparently. So we talked to the organizers, got them to mess with the pad, fix up one of the arrows that was giving him a whole lot of trouble, and basically what they said was it'd give him an extra chance to try the song again, because I did get a higher score than him the first time I played the song, but yeah, he wanted another chance because the pad was giving him problems. So let's see, yeah, after the two of us had played this together, he played on the left side and put in another score, which was higher than the one that I had gotten. So while this was happening, the right side of the pad was getting fixed, which took a little while. I was kind of thinking about what to do, because I had a win, but then when correcting for pad errors, I was losing that song. So I suggested, since he got to play it twice in a row, basically, got one practice run and then a second one that counted, I suggested that I'd get to play it a second time. The organizers were okay with that. Seems like about the fairest way to do it. There's no super perfect way to do this, because it's unfortunate that the pad errors happened and gave us trouble. But anyway, I played it another time and got a higher score than his, so I won round 3. Because yeah, just playing that once, learning all the gimmicks, all the, step on the center panel while holding one of the corners. Just knowing what to do there was enough for me to be able to do better at that. So yeah, immediately I go into round 4, versus a guy named Andres. So Andres is someone I had met, actually I hadn't met him at Rocky Mount. I saw him there. I'd heard his name, but the two of us had never actually talked at the time, so got to talk to him, and that was nice. Sadly, he had brought the wrong shoes. Apparently he left for the tournament and didn't realize that he didn't have his dance shoes with him until he was too far from home to turn around and get them. So that was kind of sad. He had a handicap and lost both of these rounds because of it. So yeah, Annihilator Method S10 was the random pick for the first round. I won that. His shoes gave him trouble. It's funny, dance game players used to just always do this in just their normal clothes, normal shoes, nothing special. But slowly over time, it got to be just very much the only way you play is with shoes that are specifically for that purpose, special clothes, stuff like that. There are probably still people who play in normal stuff, but it's much less common than it used to be. I used to play in long pants, and nowadays I can't imagine how I managed that. So when I'm playing something at a low difficulty like this 10, I'm basically just trying to focus and not get any misses and, try to pay some attention to timing. I feel like at that point neither player really has a strong advantage, unless they've picked the chart and they know some special gimmicks in it. So just pay attention and try to play well. But then it's different when we pick higher difficulty charts that are either gimmicky or salmon heavy.
Wow, you're awesome! Wow, new record!
I think I did about that well in the
Oh,
tournament.
there it is. Time so long I couldn't see it. One song.
Alright, so since I won the first round, he got to pick the second one. He chose 4 Seasons of Loneliness as 14. This was a song I didn't really know very well. I knew of it, but I hadn't played it very many times. It's in a section of the game that I just don't usually touch. But I still won. I had the right kind of shoes, and I paid attention. I played reasonably well. So one of the things I noticed while I was there was just how completely different the dance pads in that environment felt. I've never been able to make mine feel the same as the ones I played on at Rocky Mount, or this event, Beast in the East. They're just... it's hard to describe. The surface of them feels different. It's grippy in a... it's grippy in a nice way. Like when mine get grippy, they're just sticky and unpleasant. But these, they almost felt like they're textured, but I know the panels are still smooth. I don't understand what's... maybe they're just like dirty from being used all day, because I always clean mine after a session. That might be part of it. And also, all the pads there felt much more rigid. Like the panels didn't squish in the way mine do. So I adjusted my dance pad when I got back to try to be a little closer to those. I replaced some of the foam tape in my center panel, at least, with magnetic tape of all things, just because it was an easy, thin strip of metal that was just about the right thickness that I could cut up and put in there. And that actually helped a lot. The pad performs better like that. I haven't done it to all the other panels yet, but it's just the center panel that needed it mostly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I won that. Round 4 was done. And again, round 5 started immediately after that. So I was up against a guy named Scott. He was in the winner's bracket. Pretty much at the top of the winner's bracket at this point. So these are like the semifinals. I think if I had beaten him, I would have come out of the loser's bracket and either had to... yeah, I would have had to play against him again, I think, to win. However, that's not exactly how it went. Okay, so Dr. M, S9 was the random pick. Looks like I lost this round. I forget why. Yeah, that's right. He got a double S on this. I had a miss somewhere. Yeah, actually, I get the same miss during this reproduction. There's like there's one turn that doesn't turn the way that I expect it to, and I just did not step in the arrows the right way. Because, I mean, I see it and I think, oh man, it's a 9. I don't have to do anything. Just coast to an easy victory at the end. But no, this one throws me off right here. So it turns like that, then suddenly it does that.
Same place I missed before.
Same place I missed before, yep. Just wasn't ready for that different turn. But yeah, he got a perfect score on that and won the first round. So since I'd lost the first round, it was my second opportunity in the whole tournament to pick a song. I had one up my sleeve just for this occasion. So my choice was Tepris S16. Tepris is a kind of nasty 16, like it's kind of bordering on 17, I'd say. It has some long runs with turns in them that I knew I could do reasonably well. I kind of sort of had to... This was a song choice that I used carefully because I had to gauge my skill versus my opponent, like kind of pay attention to what he's good at, what he's not good at, and hope that I can be better at these things than he was. Before the final round, like I said, 16 was the difficulty limit, so an especially hard 16 was about the hardest thing I could choose. I remember during this, I could hear him really concentrating on his side, and he got a miss at some point and was audibly upset about it. I'm sure I got a miss here and there, but he got more, so I did win the second song of this round. Just being able to choose a song is such a huge advantage. There's this whole metagame that goes into the tournament. It's about so much more than just doing well at individual songs. I have to gauge my opponent's strengths and weaknesses and my own versus those. Play accordingly and not let the nerves get to me too much. That was kind of a big thing. Like, it was a lot more stressful to be up there in an actual match than I expected it to be.
Wasn't it? Nice.
So yeah, I didn't do quite that well, but I did well enough to win against him in that round.
Cool.
So it was 1-1. He picked Cleaner S12.
Pretty good.
He asked me ahead of time if I knew it. I said no. Well, asked me after he had picked it. So basically it was a good strategy against me to pick something that's less than 13 because I didn't focus on practicing anything under 13 because that's the bottom of rank mode in Prime 2. So I just generally don't look at 12s and below. So if there's anything weird in a 12 or easier, then that's where you can get me generally. So stakes are pretty high here. This is the final round in one of the final matches of the tournament. So the winner of this would go on to play the last person in the losers bracket. Just like Dr. M, I think there was some turn in here that I just did not turn the right way and didn't step on an arrow. And yeah, he won this song. So that was as far as I went in the tournament. Immediately after that, he played against Malachi, the guy I had won against in round 3. So he was the last one in the losers bracket. And Malachi actually came out on top, so he was the ultimate winner. He took first place. Scott took second, and I got third. I was very happy with third place. It was way better than I expected to do going into this tournament. My main goal here was just to win at least one round, or like one match against someone. Wasn't feeling too good about that after my first round, because I won one and lost 2, so I kinda had gotten my goal done, but not very well.
If I'd done that, I might have won.
Yeah, if I played that well, I might have been in first place at this point. I guess I would have been up against Malachi
And
again?
somewhere or bad or something.
Probably. But who knows how that would have gone. So yeah, that was my set at the tournament. I had a great time with it. It was definitely a different vibe than Rocky Mount. I felt like the crowd was a little bit younger there. I had a little more trouble relating to them in certain ways. Yeah, I guess Rocky Mountain was more folks toward my age. So that was a little weird. Just had a slight bit of culture shock. But yeah, I had a really good time there. It was pretty cool. Yeah, and I'm glad the event happened. So I have a trophy coming to me at some point, supposedly. If I had stayed on Sunday, I could have picked it up then. But the award ceremony wasn't happening until 5 p.m. on Sunday, and that was way after the time that I had to leave. The organizer, he was the one who invited me to this. He has actually offered to come over to my house and bring me my tournament, and we could play together on my machine because he wants to see my setup here. So hopefully that'll work out. If I can, and if he's up for it, I'll definitely stream and record when he's here. Maybe he can help me unlock some of the really tough Infinity stuff that I want a second player for. That's the hope. So we'll see where that goes, if anything happens. Anyway, yeah, so that was a tournament I went to. Hope you enjoyed this reproduction. See you next time.